lay on your shoulder to sleep all over again. Yeah, thank God I can go for it. Even Pluto was a planet, was a planet. But I'm addicted to disastrous thinking, and I think that you are too. A tornado just swept through this town, we barely made it through. Ooh. Another night, another solstice, summertime, sleep paralysis. There's a glitch that I cannot seem to fix. Back again where I started the trip, where I started to trip. 'Cause I'm addicted to disastrous thinking, and I think that you are too. A tornado just swept through this town, we barely made it through. Yeah, I'm addicted to disastrous thinking, and I think that you are too. A tornado just swept through this town, we barely made it through. Ooh, 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 Can I go off the path, find a breathe, start with me, start a garden, ghost and she decided my head silent. Finally, can I go start a garden, ghost and me? Can I go start a garden, ghost and me? Hollywood, midnight sun, I've been walking in the weeds again. Shallow bright, this emptiness grows on me like water feeds the wine. Ooh, you must know what that tree eyes in the supermarket I walk away with pinto beans. Another time I'll get it right, but for now I'm happy being wrong. Ooh, you must know what that does. Ooh, be careful of your thoughts. Ooh, and I could be sprouting right about now, but I'm not. But you are not there. For what it's worth, when I'm cold outside, and my nose is bleeding and tongue-tied, with no one cool and no neon sign. You're rooting for me, even when I'm not right. Rising out from water like the sun till you get bored of repeating yourself. New beginning usually means an end, and someone has to play the villain. Ooh, it's puppeteering. Ooh, does it make any sense? Ooh, and I could be sprouting right about now, but not. But you are not too. For what it's worth, when I'm cold outside and my nose is bleeding and I'm tired, with no one cool and only your side. You're rooting for me, even when I'm not right. For what it's worth, when I'm drunk on wine and my nose is bleeding and I'm tired, there's no one cool and only your side. You're rooting for me, even when I'm not right. For what it's worth, when I'm drunk on wine and my nose is bleeding and I'm tired, there's no one cool and only your side. You're rooting for me, even when I'm not right. You're rooting for me, even when I'm not right. My tangled love, we are twisted, morphing into one. Somehow I feel, though it's frightening, this is forever, eternal. Hate and all. I cannot cannot hold you, but it's harder to let you go than try. If you don't know if you can see in colors, how do I know that you can see me now? I wouldn't build a hollow tower if I would have known the height. If you don't know if you can see in colors, how do I know that you can see me now? My tangled love. We are moving in unpredictable ways, but who starts? Who starts? Are you the ocean? Am I the cliffs up ahead? I cannot hold you, but it's harder to let you go than try. If you don't know if you can see in color, how do I know that you can see me now? I wouldn't build a hollow tower if I would have known the height. If you don't know if you can see in color, how do I know that you can see me now? I cannot keep you, but it's harder to let you go this time. If you don't know if you can see in color, how do I know that you can see me now? I cannot keep you, but it's harder. If I would have known we'd be like the vibe. If you don't know if you can see the color, how do I know that you can see me now? My tangled love. We are twisted, morphing into one.
Hello, my name is Mac Wilson, and we are here in the current studio with Nanna. Nanna, thank you for coming by today.
Thank you for having me.
So we've had you in the current studio a couple of times before, your time with Of Monsters and Men, and this is your first solo appearance here, and you have an entirely new band of folks who are not on camera right now. But do you want to, if you can, introduce the folks who have played with you here today in your band?
Yes. So in my band, my touring band, we have Bjarni Thor Jensson. He's playing guitars, and then Rakel Sigurdardottir on violin and vocals and bassing and all kinds of stuff. And then Tomas Jonsson, piano, and then Magnus Trygvason on drums.
You noted on Instagram a couple of days ago that you're at about the halfway point of the U.S. tour now. I know that America is a little bit larger than Iceland, but roughly which direction are you working? You're working towards the East Coast or towards the West Coast?
So we're going towards the West Coast. Yeah. So we're about to go and play LA, and we're kind of working our way through America, slowly but surely.
Have there been any instances so far where your experience of touring or just like being around cities in America has been different than your time with Of Monsters and Men?
Well, I haven't been touring now. Like we, Of Monsters and Men, toured last in 2019. So it's been a while. And just being back on the road feels completely different, you know. But it's nice too, because I'm revisiting a lot of these places, and you know, there's still some of the same restaurants, you know, that I used to go to, or something like that, you know.
I'm thinking about it a lot in terms where if Monsters and Men, if you were playing like larger festivals, then you're on much more of a compressed time schedule. And I didn't know if you got any more time to explore. Like you're talking about
Yeah.
seeing these same places. Do you have opportunities then to be like, oh, I saw this place before. I have a little bit more time to get out and explore?
I feel like I have more time now, which is quite nice actually. So I've been trying to explore more this time around.
I overheard some of your band members in the booth before we sat down to chat talking about Iceland right now, where even in the last couple of years and decades, where it's become such a popular tourist destination to always have, notably with the Iceland Airwaves Festival, and how folks who are clearly tourists, it's almost like something that you have to navigate around when you are in Iceland. Is that a phenomenon that you've noticed as well?
No, I don't feel like we are at that point. I think it's kind of expensive to go to Iceland. So it's, I think people kind of sometimes think twice maybe about it, but also I don't feel like that's become the case yet. Like we had a very big boom in tourism like 10 years ago or something like that, and I feel like it's kind of stayed consistent.
Well, I have the app on my phone that tracks airplanes that go overhead, and just about every day I see a Reykjavik flight go over the house. So, I mean, there's clearly enough people traveling.
Maybe I'm just like desensitized at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the new record that you've got, the solo album, is How to Start a Garden.
Yes.
Now, in addition to there being layers of metaphor with that, when you go and put that into Google, you literally get instructions on how to start a garden. Is that something that you took up at all literally over the last couple of years during the pandemic or otherwise? Like
No.
literally gardening?
Oh, I was trying very hard to like become like very wholesome and and start these things, but I didn't do any of those things. But I had like I moved into a new house, and there was my neighbor was. My upstairs neighbor, he is a big gardener, so I would just kind of watch him and admire what he did. But I have yet to start my own.
How about any new pets?
Oh, I have a dog. Yeah,
You have a dog.
I have a dog.
So the dog works its way in as sort of an analogy in one of your songs. Can you walk us through where the dog of yours sort of plays a role as a character in one of your songs?
Oh, right. Well, she's just she's kind of all around. Like when we were recording, we would record in my cabin, and she would just kind of be walking around, and sometimes that would just be part of the song, but also lyrically, she's very much a part of this record. I very much wanted for this record to bring everything that felt important to me, like make it be a part of the album. So there's a lyric that says, can I go start a garden, the ghost in me? And my dog's name is Ghost. So it's kind of like a double thing of it's actually, I'm just talking about my dog.
And what kind of dog do you have?
I have a black Labrador.
Oh boy. So how old is your black lab now?
She's like 2.5 or something like that. Yeah, she's a teenager.
So one of the projects that we got over the last spring was we have a black lab mix. You can tell that he's got something else in him, but black lab through and through. They're very, very smart and they're very dumb at the same time. And I love living with that dichotomy with lab mixes.
I mean, they're just so like they love everyone, and they love other people sometimes more than they love you. So they'll just like run up to anybody, which is very endearing and very cute. But they also, I mean, my dog is like, she's just really funny like that. Just loves people very much.
We are here in the current studio with Nanna. The new record is How to Start a Garden. And Nanna, one of the cool things I appreciate about some of the songs on the album is songs like Sputnik and Godzilla, where those words are not necessarily mentioned in the song, but they're really like elaborate metaphors about it. Is that a case where you started off with like a mental image of either of these things and you're like, I'm going to try to add as much descriptive material about it and put myself in this head without just naming it in the song? Was that the case? Did you start off with that specific image?
No, I didn't. I mean, for both of those songs, that was just kind of the title that came along when I was working on the lyrics. Or, I was like working on the melody and the lyrics at the same time, and everything was just kind of like in a big mess. And then it just felt like a thing that described the feeling, really, like with Sputnik, where it's just like, you know, like a traveling companion, like a satellite is like traveling with us. And that to me felt really beautiful, you know, and just captured that exact feeling of the song. And then with Godzilla, it's the same thing. It just felt, I don't know, like big, and like the word is kind of the opposite of the song, but there's something like, there's a tension, you know, in it. And so Godzilla felt like it really represented that song.
And with the name of the album, How to Start a Garden, it feels very intentional that the word start is in there. Like, this is really the start of something for you with the solo material that you're putting out. This doesn't strike me as just, oh, these are some songs that I had lying around and I put them out on the side. Like, this is your own separate thing. We've talked about your work with Of Monsters and Men, but this also feels like a very intentional start in and of its own point. Does that feel like an accurate assessment of where you're at now?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it feels like, you know, I think this record is pretty different from what I've done with Of Monsters and Men. There's like songs with them that I'm with my band where maybe you can hear this world a little bit, but it was nice for me now to kind of go and just completely dive into this world, because I really felt like I needed to do that.
And I am curious to ask, because the National are coming to town to Minnesota next week. You worked with Aaron Dessner on some of the music on the record. How many days or weeks, or rather, did you spend working with Aaron, and how did that experience go?
So I went up to Long Pond. It was October. I'm going to get very specific now. It was October 2021, I think. And we spent like a week together first. And I really didn't know. I was just, you know, I'm just a fan. So I was just excited, you know, to meet and hang out and see what would happen. And we kind of went through some old demos of mine and picked out a few that we felt like we could work on together. And then I went back to see him for another week. So it was like 2 weeks all in all. Yeah. And it was great. It was such a, you know, like, it's such a beautiful studio, and Aaron is amazing. And it was a very, very cool experience.
This is probably naive of me, but is there a literal long pond there?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Water-wise?
There's a pond there.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a little pond, you know, and yeah.
But it's one of those studios that, I mean, with Taylor Swift and otherwise, it's becoming one of the most well-known studios in America, like Electric Ladyland or something. Like, it's that iconic of a place. So I'm more and more curious what life is like really behind the curtain at Long Pond.
I think it's a beautiful studio, also because it feels like a very creative setup. You know, there's stations everywhere, so you can kind of go around the studio and just like wherever you sit down, you just start recording, which is really, you know, I think it's really brilliant. And the room itself is just, it feels like a home, you know.
Well, Nanna, thank you for stopping by today, your show in Minneapolis. Thanks for stopping by and playing those beautiful songs with your band. And we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you again for coming by today.
The Current is public media made possible thanks to member support.